Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Just to let everyone know, we are recording this for future sharing if people have other questions. My name is Christopher Shore. This is Jacqueline Akers is also here. I actually think I say I'm Kimberly Henriksen.
Yeah, you might want to change that.
Jackie, do you want to give a quick intro?
Wait, what? Okay, quick intro. No. So I guess we're having a monothon Q&A, and we're just gonna let it be like free for all. Whatever questions you have, just throw at us and we'll answer as best as we can. I know I've been here 22 years, Chris has been here 21 years, so we've been doing this for a very long time. So I don't know, why is everybody muted? Can you unmute everybody, Chris?
We normally people just mute.
Let me
Oh, there
see.
you go.
Yeah. Can I?
Hey, let's just unmute.
Yeah,
everyone.
you can just
Let's have
unmute
one
yourself.
big party. Yeah,
Okay.
let's just have one big party.
But
Yeah, Jackie.
let's hear all the leaf blowers and all the dogs all at once. Go, everybody.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
That's what monothon is like.
We'll do it like the classroom. Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
I have a
Hi,
question.
Kate. What do you?
Hi,
what do you have?
Jackie. So I have never participated. I live almost 4 hours away. And how could can you explain the monothon in brief to somebody who's never participated? I know I get emails about it, but I feel like I live so far away that I'm, it's hard for me to participate.
There's two parts to the monothon. The first part is the printmaking week, where it's a full week of printmaking. Artists come to work with a master printer. Could be one or two artists, and then you have a press assistant who is actually I've participated as that, and I am a slave to the artist and master printer. That's what I like to call myself, because I do all the dirty work. Because you're there to focus to make a body of work with the master printer. We ask that you come with ideas of what you want to have done, so that your master printer is actually there to help you implement your ideas. The goal is for you to just work as an artist. Your master printer is there to help you make that body of work, and the press assistant is there to clean up and be your slave to run errands. Keep that press bed always clean for the master printer and the artist.
Yeah, great. So the artist may create as many prints as they want to, and then the center gets some of those.
The artist gets up to 10 sheets of paper. You're allowed up to 10 sheets of paper. You don't have to use all 10 sheets of paper. People think, oh, I got 10 sheets, I got to get it done. I got to get 10. No, it's as many as you can. Unfortunately, we do take the best print that gets auctioned off. You have no say in your choosing. That's up to Kim. Or Chris, whoever is on duty that day or night. That print is then auctioned off into the silent auction, which is the second part of the monothon, the auction and party.
Oh, okay, cool. So
but the rest of the prints you get to take home yourself.
Great. Do you have artists that come from away and come and stay and make prints? That's cool.
We've had artists that come from afar.
We also have printers coming from far away as well sometimes.
Wow.
Like Ron. Some printers have come from Philadelphia, from Boston. We've had RISD graduate students act as master printers.
Great.
We also, just to mention it, we instituted this during COVID, which was a remote monothon option, which we have offered again this year, which is watercolor monotype, where we will send pre-gummed matrices to you. You would then paint and draw on them, send them back to CCP where they will be printed. Then we send them back, notating which one we would like. And then you would send us back the print that we requested, and then that would go in the exhibition at CCP to be auctioned off.
Wow, that's
so
great.
if there was someone who was very far away, I believe we've already had 2 people sign up this year from the Boston area because it isn't that convenient for them.
Yeah.
It's not quite as much fun, but it does give you the opportunity to make new work specifically for inclusion in the auction and party.
Yeah, great, great, thank you.
Can I ask a question about the remote
Sure.
option? Why can oil or oil sticks not be used as part of that?
Okay, so the way that the watercolor monotype works is that the drawing material, whether it's watercolor paint, whether it is water-soluble crayons, they essentially dry but can be rehydrated with the dampened paper. If you draw on a Mylar with an oil stick, then roll it up. By the time you send it to us, that oil stick may have dried and it will not release onto the dampened paper like the water-soluble mediums will. There are a couple of other water-soluble materials like Speedball, Relief Ink. The only problem with some of them, like the Speedball Relief Ink, is it tends to flake off. And especially when we ship it rolled up, some of those inks will crack and fall off the Mylar before it can get to us. Generally, we haven't had any problems with the watercolor. As long as it's relatively thin, it doesn't usually have a problem in the mail. But any of the non-water soluble materials, it just doesn't work in that method.
Thank you.
No problem.
Have you done anything with the Caran d'Ache crayons?
Yeah, people have drawn on the Mylar with the crayons and watercolor in combination, and it hasn't been a problem
Right.
being rolled up and shipped back to us. We haven't had a problem with that at all.
Yeah. You know,
So
I
yeah, the
found-
combination is a great way to get drawing and painting simultaneously in the print.
Right.
In addition, we send a information sheet if you sign up that gives not only some detailed information about what to use, what not to use, but we also made a video that I believe is still accessible that gives a really short kind of introduction. So you both would have written and a visual guide as to how to work so that you get a successful print once it's sent to us.
Mhm.
I
You
have
ever-
very
do you-
good results using Caran d'Ache printing on dry paper with release agent from Akua.
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's another option too.
Definitely. I know it's a bit more challenging on a Mylar to roll up that the release agent perfectly evenly,
Right.
but definitely I think it's definitely, sometimes you can do it for a ghost print and get a little extra. But as we said, it's a Monothon in I first did Monothon as a printer in 2001. It's actually when I first met Ron. And one of the things that Monothon is really great for is this sort of experimental exploration. And so we're always willing to work with artists, even on the remote Monothon, on an individual basis to kind of talk you through and troubleshoot and try to make sure that the results are something that everyone's happy with. I think it's really a big part of Monothon because the 5 hours is very quick in person and it's very exciting, but it's also challenging. So we always like to think of it as an experimental time because there's often things come up, your plan goes sideways. Sometimes it's very controlled and other times it's really, let's try some things and see what happens.
Sometimes that 5 hour time constraint is kind of a common denominator that gives everybody equal amount of challenge, regardless of
Yeah.
your experience, which makes it very exciting. I would encourage
Yeah.
you to come and print at the center, not
Yeah.
just because of the 5 hour restriction, but because it's an event and there's a lot going on during the printing sessions. You probably have 3 different areas that are pulling prints, probably 6 artists at a time in the
Wow.
space.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it makes for a very exciting and it has a great feeling to it.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just the activity itself, that one day you have like printing stations all over, and
Yeah, that's
you
great.
get to bounce off your creativity with other artists and printers and just the people here itself.
Wow.
Just makes it a fun event.
Yeah, that does sound like fun. So what are the dates again this year?
The
Forgetting.
dates are, it starts on a Sunday, October
October
15th,
15th.
Okay.
and then it ends on the Saturday, October 21st.
The 21st.
We also have a youth monothon on Sunday, October 22nd, where we invite artists age 11 to 18 to come and work the same 5-hour sessions, the same paper and inks. It's just more of a group activity. So it's a little bit more little more action going on, but we often find that free and excited to be there, they're almost more productive than the older, more established artists, which is kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that's great. Wow.
Do you
sure
have
sounds-
size restrictions?
Size, yes. Generally we don't recommend, and we don't really provide paper for anything larger than a 22 by 30 sheet of paper.
We'll
The
put a
the
half sheet.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can work smaller. If someone wanted to work on a quarter sheet, that would be okay. One of the things we've often found is that when you work even at a 22 by 30 size, a full bleed, the time it takes to ink a plate at that size really cuts into the productivity. So oftentimes, working 18 by 24, 12 by 12, 11, be able to make a variety of prints and explore a couple different directions. I know Ron is, for those of you that don't know, Ron is on the Zoom here. He's actually the progenitor of Monothon. He sort of first started it and has been running them various places throughout the country since when, Ron? Like 1998 or something?
No. We started yours in 1998, but ours started in 1986 at the College of
Wow,
Santa
yeah.
Fe.
Wow.
Ran for
So-
18 years. And in that time, I helped start a couple others. But we did our own monothon again here in Santa Fe this year for the first time in about 15 years. And it was extraordinarily successful.
Yeah.
Ours is different, though, because we don't have a centralized printing facility. We had 6 different print venues in Santa Fe. Each of them participated in the monothon, and each of them filled up. Every print shop decided how much they wanted to do, and artists on our website plugged in to wherever they wanted to print. And it just was very exciting.
Yeah. It is super exciting, but as I was saying, one of the things that I've found is that the best is to come in with a singular plan for those 5 hours. It gives you the time to explore. Sometimes people come in with 2 or 3 ideas, and sometimes getting started is slow, and it really cuts into the time. So we often, part of this Zoom is also, for those of you that are interested, it's going to give you some tricks and tips, like coming in with a plan, maybe a cartoon at the scale you want to work, having some color ideas, just so that when you hit the ground, you can hit the ground running and really get the pressure off of coming in and sitting down in front of a blank plexiglass plate and going, all right, now what do I do? That does happen, but I find the best sessions are when people come in with a concise idea and they jump in to that plan. And what's so great about it is that the master printer and sometimes the other artists kind of inspire, and you sort of explore within that idea or plan, and you can really get 8 or 10 finished prints if you really buckle down and work well with the printer. It's very possible to walk out with a whole portfolio of completed work, for sure.
Great.
I like the idea of a plan, but I have a different concept about that. I have a saying, which is, if I knew where I was going, I'd be lost. So when I make a plan, it's really not a plan for a finished product. It's a plan of how to start and a way to get into the work. And the beauty of monotype is that the process itself helps to dictate the direction in which future impressions will go. For instance, my first plan is to do such and such. I make that, I print it, turns out like a piece of crap, but I get the plate back. And that ghost image on the plate is the starting point for the next image. And as that plate evolves through multiple impressions and repeating drops on each impression, things change and the end result may be totally different than what your plan was in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also had artists spend 4 hours on a plan and then they're not happy, and at the last minute they try something completely different, and that ends up being the best thing they did all day. So it's I think it's most important is to, well, we always tell people, get a good night's sleep, come in with an idea, with a kind of color palette or something, and just be ready to dive in.
Yeah.
There's one other thing that I've always pushed with the original concept of the monothon. It's kind of moved away from that over the years. And that is, initially it was artists finding sponsors and sponsors paying for the print session. And the sponsors would then get a discount or something, or credit at the exhibition. I think that's kind of been let go of. But getting a sponsor for your monothon session does a couple of things. It brings the sponsor in so that it isn't just a bunch of artists at the exhibit, but there are collectors that come in because they're the ones that supported the sessions. And it also takes the pressure off of you to some extent, that you didn't spend $250. You get a free session out of this. And as a result, the sponsor gets a tax deduction, and you brought another person into the event who's more likely to purchase than the artist who've already spent $250.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I push for that.
So
yeah, we've also found that some artists are able to get multiple people, 5 people can give them $50, and it's not a big hit on any one person. And sometimes it's a gallery, sometimes it's a collector, sometimes it's just family members to help sponsor you to do it as well. And then they're also interested to see what you've done. Sometimes they give them a print as a thank you. And we also, for some artists that have the inability to pay for a session, we do have some sponsorships available on a kind of first come, first serve as needed basis. Because we, the cost of the monothon includes the paper, the ink, the time, a press assistant, paper towels. There's a lot of sort of things that we throw in for that $250. we don't usually make a tremendous amount of money. It usually goes into making sure that all these things are there. We provide food and drinks. So it's really, it's not like we make a ton of money on the printing sessions. Really, it's the good work that comes out of it, and we make the same. So it's really just like taking a workshop or something. The only big difference is we get to take one print to auction off to really keep the center going. And it is our biggest fundraiser of the year. We sort of expect that the Monothon brings in a good chunk of our operating expenses for the year. It's been a little hard during COVID, but we're really looking forward to a robust kind of sessions this year, because I think people are clearly ready to get back in the studios.
I have, just to let you know, in terms of my involvement, I'll be doing a workshop the week before. And the first Sunday and Monday of Monothon, I'll be printing for the Monothon in 4 different sessions. So I'll work with up to 8 artists in those 4 sessions. So just letting you know, if you want the expertise of the founder, there you go. Or take the workshop and then hang on. You can leave your work out. If you do the workshop, you don't need to clean up at the end of the workshop. Use what you've been working on and just parlay that into the beginning of your Monothon session the next day if you sign up for the Sunday session.
Yes, absolutely. In addition to Ron's workshop that's scheduled for October 10th to the 14th, the center has also organized 2 short one-day workshops in the one in September and one in October. One of them is going to be a very monotype basics class, which is a very shortened, come in, learn some additive reductive kind of mark making. And then also Liz Banish, one of the other printers at the center, is going to be doing a trace monotype workshop, which is another great technique to utilize during the print sessions. So there are 3 workshops leading into the printing sessions that if you're interested in getting a little bit of a warm-up or a little bit of an extra intro, all those things will help artists kind of get their feet under them to be ready for Monothon. Obviously Ron's is much more intensive, given that it's Tuesday through Saturday, so you really get a lot of work done in that time period.
Yeah.
Let's think some other things. We do give the option to use the water-soluble, water-miscible Akua inks for those that want, but we also will have traditional oil-based inks available. Interestingly, they can be mixed, but some people cannot use any solvents. So we try to kind of keep the solvents away from those that can't be around it. And we also will have, water soluble crayons and oil sticks and all, stencil paper, lots of different things available, depending on the direction that you want to go. It also is worth mentioning, seeing Kate on this, while most people work on plexiglass, we're not against people bringing in pre-made plates, whether they're an etching or a woodcut or something, to combine and make some unique prints as well. So it's not strictly limited to monotypes. We will do mono prints. It's always interesting what people bring in to try to explore and experiment with. And most of the printers are open to, working in different directions and trying experimental things out in those 5-hour sessions.
Even printing on silkscreen, doing a silkscreen monotype.
Yeah, we have done that. It's a little bit challenging. We don't always do that, but we're open to anything. We are limited on our space at some days, but we never want to kind of tell you things you can't try or can't do. We're always looking to incorporate more and more.
Yep, we're willing to push those boundaries.
Yeah.
And if you're
Sounds
not
like-
able to participate during that week, you can set up to work with the printer outside of that week. We can
If we're
schedule,
available, yeah.
yeah, we're always willing to work that out as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Have you posted any images from prior monothons on your website?
There are, if you were to look back on our, maybe our social media sites, you might see some things. Previously, we had done a couple of monothons where the work was all done, sold online. And I believe that some of those may be still available if you were to search the internet. But the truth is, we've done so many monothons. There are probably thousands of prints that have been produced during the monothon sessions. It would be difficult to kind of cover the breadth and scale and scope of all the different prints that have been created during monothon. I think, you know, anything that you've seen in monotype or monoprint has been done. Trace monotype stencils, painterly things, people bringing in plexiglass plates that they scratched into. You know, in my experience, I feel like I've tried almost everything under the sun. I printed a muffler one year that someone found on the road on the way down that had been run over and was crushed flat. I can't think of things we haven't done during monothon. So the variety and breadth of these prints that have been created really are pretty intense.
Yeah.
But if you needed to see some examples or ideas, I'm sure we could direct you to somewhere where you could see some of those things.
Well, I'm interested in the remote. I really would like to try it, but I don't usually only work in water media, so that's why I'm trying to see how other people handled it.
Yeah, if you as I said, I believe if you were to sign up, the video we would send you has some examples on it. But we could also very easily send you a couple of JPEGs with a couple of different images that have been created. Obviously, the limit is what artists have done in that specific technique in the past. You know, watercolor monotypes are very varied depending on the exact tools you use, whether you use the Caran d'Ache crayons or just straight watercolor. But I know from the last couple of years, we definitely have some examples that were done that kind of show the kind of prints, what they look like, for sure.
I would love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Now it looks like there's let me see if I can find it. Looks like someone typed a question into the
Yeah,
chat.
folks were chatting, so someone was speaking, so I didn't want to interrupt you guys. But just curious, if you have any guidance on auction pricing, or is that just set by the CCP staff?
So generally, the way that the pricing works is at the actual auction and party, all of the work starts at the same. I think we were doing $175 as a starting bid. I don't recall whether we were going to up it this year or not, but the pricing, retail pricing, is set by the artist. What we want is to price it based on what you sell your work for. That's the best way to represent to the buyers what the value is of that print. If you're an artist that sells your work for $2,000, it would say $2,000. If you're an artist that's never made a print before, you might price it at, you know, $300. But all of the work starts at the same price. It's kind of a unique opportunity to get some work at a well below market value, but it also turns out that those prints that have value often get a lot of bidding. When we do the auction, we have a buy now price, which we sort of stole from eBay, which is a price that's, I believe, $200 over the retail, so that if there is a bidding war, it doesn't just go to the retail, it allows for us to make a little bit more. But if you really wanted a piece, you can do a buy now, which becomes active once the, we're still debating whether this will be all available online this year. I think we're probably going to go back to the pre-pandemic where the bidding will be only in person.
We're not doing it online. We're not doing it online this year.
Yeah, so you
All
would
in
have to be
person.
in person. There will be a preview though. So you could do a telephone bid. You could call us up, say, I really want this piece. I'm willing to spend $700 for it, and we can bid for you if you're not able to be there. But the old version before the pandemic was really when the people that are there are the ones that get the opportunity to bid and purchase the work.
Got it. Thanks.
Which makes it really
great.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah,
it makes
great.
it really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, what about artists who want to touch up their work and rework some things after it's chosen? Do you have a policy around that?
Yeah, and if people are, you know, as Jackie had said, you know, when we pick the work, it's done by usually Kim, or sometimes the printer, or someone like myself. And one of the things that we want to make sure is that the artist is happy with the final product. So if they wanted to work on the print a little bit, take it home, bring it back a couple days later, we're open to that. The only thing that we dissuade people from doing that is that sometimes things go sideways, and then the print that we selected gets,
It's not.
something happens to it, and then either it's not viable, the artist gets more unhappy with it. You know, it's a risk, but you know, it's happened before where people have said, oh, I'm not happy, it's not finished. We say, okay, come back, work on it, take it home, work on it, and then bring them back in, and then we'll select, you know, a couple days later or something. You know, we really want to make sure that the work is both good from our standpoint, but also the artist is happy, because you know, if an artist doesn't think it's putting their best foot forward, we're not going to force you to.
Right. So,
you know, it's
the experience of doing it in our monothon this year was that we had a number of people take their works home, and it came back as a different item.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't what we chose.
Right.
And what I'm thinking for this year's event, or for next year's event, is that the work must be completed in the 5-hour session. Now, what that does, it's two things. One, it equals the playing field. You know, a professional artist who works lots of different things and so on, and embellishes things. Yeah, they know what they're doing, but that's not necessarily what this is about. It's what can you produce in a 5-hour session? And then anybody has the same parameters to work from.
Yeah. I mean, I think we like, at least personally, I like to have a conversation with the artist. You know, we don't just, that's the one we're taking. It's often nice to have a conversation. And if the agreement is, you know, these all need open to it, but there are times where we'll say, oh, no, this is done. You can't touch it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. You know, artists are often sometimes not the best judges of their own work. So that's why our executive director, Kimberly Henriksen, she isn't like a practicing artist. She's done Monothon and done some stuff, but she kind of comes in like an outside curator, looks at the work when it's finished. She usually doesn't come in the middle of the sessions, and can look at a piece and say, this is beautiful, I would buy this, we're taking this one. And even if the artist is like, are you sure? We'll be like, yes, we're sure. And most of the time that print will sell and artists will be like, oh, I guess it was done. So, but we're not fascist ogres that, you know, are telling the artists what to do. We like to, you know, make sure that everyone's happy, or at least convince the artist that they'll be happy.
Right. And if the artist likes the piece so much that
It's happened
they
before.
don't want to part with it, if the artist doesn't want to part with it because they're so excited about it, you say, okay, you bid on it. You can buy it back, no problem.
Yes, and they do. They end up buying it back.
I mean, we definitely have had artists come through. They've come back to us days later and said, you know, I had a picture of it. I kept looking at it. I'm really not happy. And we'll work with them. I mean, you know, the last thing we want to do is have an artist that's really disappointed with what they did and embarrassed to show it, you know, whether they're should be embarrassed or not. Like, you know, we're sensitive to artists for sure. So,
Right.
but yeah, no, I agree with you, Ron, that it is a nice level playing field for the 5 hours, but you know, things happen, and
Exactly.
you know, we don't want someone in tears that they are forced to put their name on a piece of work that they are really not happy with. So
Yeah.
So are there any other questions out there? I know a couple people jumped in late.
Well, for every artist that participates, they get a complimentary pass to the auction party.
Oh, that's nice. Nice perk.
So, yeah.
And what day? What
And
day
it will
is-
be held at the center's building this year once again. It's been actually about, gosh, 7 or 8 years since we've
Since
done it in our
2013.
facility.
Since
Mhm.
2013.
10 years, a whole decade.
Yep.
How did it work last year next door? Did that not work out?
Well, last year next
well-
door was just for the live auction.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year was something different. We separated the silent and live auction. The silent auction was actually online as well as in person. You can preview it in person.
Mhm.
It was just weird.
Yeah, I think it destroyed people's understanding and expectations from the past, and they didn't really, it wasn't the best idea to separate the two, we learned. So we most likely won't do that again. You know, the energy of having the live auction and the silent auction in the same space
Mhm.
really was what people enjoyed. And we, you know, separating the two and having like a gala live auction party and then doing the silent auction was actually the silent auction went longer. You know, we did do some switching around of things, but we think that the old style of one big happy party was really what was worked the best. So we're going to go back to our old tried and true monothon in the building at CCP and have a big ruckus event there.
Yes.
Great. I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
I also forgot to mention, there is also we traditionally do a figure on the monotype sessions where we get a live model and people can work directly from the live model on monotype. And we have a monothon session set up for September 23rd. The same, it's actually a 6-hour session because we include a lunch break, but it's the same 5 hours and you work directly from a live model making monotypes. And those, it's a really fun event that people really enjoy. I think we take, maybe it's 6 artists can participate in that.
I think it's 6. Yeah, 6 is the max.
And so you come in, model strikes a pose, everyone works directly from the model, take a break, the model takes a break, everything gets printed, go back, set up another model, pose, It's a really wonderful way to work if you like working figuratively from a live model. And then those are in the auction. What's very different about that is that the works are a little bit more spontaneous and a little less, I don't want to say labored over, but a little less worked, because of the fact that it's like, you have a 10-minute or a half an hour pose to kind of execute a real quick monotype. Some people do it reductively or additively or minimal color, because you don't have like 3 hours to kind of develop a single image. But in some ways, that's very much the sort of like the root of Monothon, which is to kind of come in and just sort of make something happen, just make a really spontaneous print. And they're often really quite beautiful, the results we get from that. So that's another option for Monothon. So yeah, we're always trying to expand and create as much as we can for artists for the Monothon. So
Excellent. Thank you very much. This has been really great and very helpful and informative. So
great.
I think I'm going to come down. So people schedule sessions by going on. Do you have a website where you can sign up there, or you call, or how do you do that?
There's actually a prospectus that's online, and you will fill out the form of your chosen. We ask for first or second chosen date and time that you're available to do it, and we try to accommodate you as best as we can. And in the schedule, we try to make sure that we try to pair people with a master printer.
If you know who the artist
If
is,
if we
if you
well,
know
that's
their
why I'm in charge
style,
of the scheduling.
yeah.
No one's allowed to touch the board or the schedule.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the schedule of the printers sometimes fluctuates and things come up. So we cannot guarantee a particular printer, but we will guarantee that someone will be there that's proficient and can run your plates through the press and get you good impressions.
Yeah. And the most popular printers are Ron, Chris.
No me.
No, me, Chris. Let's go back to Chris. Yeah.
Right.
Even on the double days, it's like, well, I already have Chris filled up for in the morning. Well, can he do the afternoon? No, Chris is not allowed to do double sessions.
I think
Artists try, but no,
Yeah.
sorry. Pick another day.
Yeah. I mean, Ron and I have had a lot of experience, but it's often each printer brings a different set of skills to the table. And it's kind of amazing what happens in that collaboration, even in such a short period of time. We often find that printers, when they click with artists, sometimes starts a long-standing collaboration moving forward, either at CCP or in their own private studios. So it's a great way for printers to meet artists, and it's also a great way for artists to meet printers, even if you're not working with them. They may be in the same studio space with you, and you sort of can sort of pick brains and get some ideas. And it's not only an artistic adventure, it's also can be a great social environment to like learn and meet people and other artists, which is why, as Ron said, participating in person is a completely different animal than just sort of getting a print to us and being in the auction and party. It's really a special time.
Well, think about it. It's 2 artists per master printer. So sometimes we try to put 2 artists with their master printers, but sometimes it's just you and the master printer if no other artist wants that session. So you get to pick that master printer's brain all you want. Well,
Yeah.
competition of the other artists. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember my very first session as a printer, Ron was also working with 2 artists in the same studio space. And it is oftentimes a whole room collaboration at times when everyone goes, "Oh, look at that, that's beautiful, don't touch it." And the artist goes, "Really?" And you go, "Yeah, yeah, everyone in the room loves it." And it goes on the wall with a little gold star. That might be the one for the auction. So it's really pretty fun.
It is fun. It is fun. Anything else?
Just getting back, the form that we mentioned that you can find online, the prospectus. I can't remember if Jackie said we do ask for a first and a second choice. They do fill up on a first come, first served basis. And schedule wise, the first 2 days are what we call double sessions, where we have a session that starts at 8 in the morning and goes till 1, and an afternoon session that goes from 2:30 to 7:30. Then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we just do single sessions from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it's a little less stressful. And then Friday and Saturday are back to double sessions. So some artists even request to do 2 back-to-back sessions on the same day. We give a discount for that, and it allows you to do 10 hours of printing, but we do take a print from each session. So there's, some artists really want to get in there for a really long day, and that's definitely possible in the beginning and end of that week.
Yep.
So are there any other questions out there?
Can't think of anything. That's been pretty comprehensive. All sounds like a lot of fun, like one big monoprint party.
It sure is.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's great.
This is great, Chris. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you
Yep.
very
Well,
much.
if there's no other questions, you can go on our website. There's more information about Monothon. You can download the prospectus. If you have any other questions, feel free to email either info, or on our website. You can also find the email addresses for any of the staff if you have any questions.
Mhm.
And a lot of the information is in the prospectus, a lot of the sort of nitty-gritty details that we talked about. But any questions, feel free to reach out. And we hope we'll see all of you at the Monothon.
Yeah.